In the NFL, the difference between a good play and a bad play is both incredibly obvious, and yet it can be determined by a very small thing. Split-second decisions by the teams or a coach can go and just change the course of a game instantly. Whether it be a good thing or a bad thing is determined by how the player or coach reacts to the situation at hand. A lot of big plays are talked about in the NFL, but what about the smart play? The ones that make you think about what the player or coach was thinking. So allow us to show you 8 NFL high IQ moments. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 8, the Saints onside kick. The onside kick is a necessary play that many people and teams have done across football because it is a necessary thing to try and get the ball back in order to win the game, especially when you're down in a score or it's crunch time. However, when it came to the Super Bowl matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints, it was a much different matter. It was a smart play that literally changed the entire composure of the game. Why? Because not only was this in the Super Bowl, it was what started the half. The Saints were down and many people were already stating that the Colts, led by future Hall of Famer Peyton Manning, were already going to win. The Saints needed a momentum shift, but they couldn't do that if they were the one kicking off at the half, right? Wrong. Because Coach Sean Payton called out ambush and signaled the onside kick to be done to start the half. The Saints got it and everyone was stunned that it not only worked, but that they had the guts to do it. It had never been done before in Super Bowl history, and that is saying something. And now when you're playing the Saints, you always expect an onside kick because you never know if they're going to bust it out. That one decision led them to victory, and that's why it was such a smart play. Number 7, Devin Hester fake kneel. Devin Hester is one of the greatest players in NFL history for one very specific reason. Devin Hester is one of the greatest players in NFL history for one very specific reason. If he was returning a punt or a kickoff, you would almost expect him to run it back for a touchdown. He was that good. In fact, in the 2007 Super Bowl, that is exactly what he did on the opening kickoff. But for this legendary return, we're going to take you back to 2011 in a game where the Chicago Bears had against the New York Giants. The Giants, with their legendary kicker Jay Feely, was attempting a 52-yard field goal. Not an easy thing, but sure enough they missed and it went straight into the arms of Hester, who did nothing but start to walk for a bit to let the Giants know he was about to kneel it. And then he broke out into a run and took it to the house for a touchdown. Now this is the beauty of a smart play sometimes. He made them believe he wasn't running it back, which made them relax in their defense and allowed the Bears to stack up and defend him on the run. That is great stuff right there. And he was legendary in his time with the Bears because of plays like that, where he outsmarted and outran everyone. Number 6, what a smart play by Harris. When it comes to punts, the goal of the team is to go and get the ball as far into the opposing team's own territory as possible, as that puts an infinite amount of pressure on them to get farther down the field or else potentially give the other team good field position when they punt. Now, the Denver Broncos were playing the then Oakland Raiders when one such punt turned into a brilliant play. Because for the Broncos, they executed the punt perfectly to an extent. The punter kicked it deep, the Broncos special teams raced down there to get the ball, and they were doing their best to pin the Raiders on the 1-yard line. But their problem was that they were so concerned with getting on the 1-yard line that they didn't put the ball down enough for the play to be dead. As such, returner Harris of the Raiders was able to pick the ball up and then run it all the way to the house for a touchdown. The ball almost literally was on the goal line, and yet he saw that there were multiple Broncos down, few in his way, and at the very least, he could make a great return, but he turned it into a touchdown. Even the announcers were high on this play, shouting the praises of Harris. And yeah, he definitely deserved them. Number 5, foregoing the touchdown. In sports, many players in the game are more worried about stats than they are about potentially ending the game by running out the clock. Many live off of getting the most points, yards, assists, that sort of thing, but it takes a high IQ to know that you need to give something to seal up a game. For example, in a game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles were up by 4 points with a little over 2 minutes to go in the game. They needed a first down to seal the game, and Brian Westbrook not only got it, but he had the ability to go and get the touchdown. But he didn't do it. Instead, he fell to the ground right at the 1-yard line in order to ensure that the clock kept going, and then allowing his team to take a knee to truly end the clock. Now, yes, with the Eagles having a touchdown, they likely would have won the game, but they also would have given the ball back to the Cowboys, who could have made things interesting and at least had a chance to win. but by taking that fall and foregoing the score, Westbrook ensured that his team would win. Hang time. When Tom Brady was on the New England Patriots, they had a squad that was hard to beat. And while the offense is always praised due to Brady, the defense was rarely a slouch. A great example of that was when this play against the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins quarterback Ryan Tannehill went and threw a ball to the wide receiver, but Patriots player Devin McCourty jumped up into the air to intercept the ball. But there was a problem. Because of his momentum, he was about to go out of bounds. Had he done so, the interception wouldn't count. And that is where the IQ play came in. Because after he grabbed the ball, he quickly realized his position, and so he lightly passed the ball, lateral fashion, to another Patriots player who was still in bounds. They were able to stay in bounds and maintain control of the ball, and thus the interception did count. Think about all the quick thinking that McCourty had to do in order to make that work. That right there is truly a high IQ play. Number 3, alley-oop. Here is another case of precision and quick thinking. The Atlanta Falcons were playing the Arizona Cardinals, and the Falcons were making a pass play happen when a defender was able to go and get the ball loose and cause a fumble. The ball bounced and was heading out of bounds when Toller was able to stay in bounds and alley-oop the ball backward to another Cardinals player to complete the turnover. That's a play the Harlem Globetrotters would be proud of, that's for sure. And another case of quick thinking saving the day. Number 2, like a Manning. The brothers Manning, Peyton and Eli, are both legendary quarterbacks in their own right, and Peyton will be heading to the Hall of Fame this year for his efforts on the field. Now, this play with the Denver Broncos helps solidify just how smart he was when he played the game. Because as you can see, this is a goal line stand that the Cowboys are attempting, and the play is perfectly set up to go into a rush into the end zone by the running back. But instead, Peyton keeps the ball, does a bootleg, and runs the ball into the end zone himself for the touchdown. Now, the reason this play was so smart was because, as the announcer noted, this was his first rushing touchdown in 5 years. No one expected Peyton to do this, and thus it was a smart play because they did what no one expected. Number 1, I am a receiver. It's always fun when a play happens that no one sees coming, and the Miami Dolphins did that in a way that even had the announcers laughing at how well it worked. Because the Dolphins did a lineup that was infinitely crazy for a play, especially since the kicking unit was on the field, but they weren't doing a kick, they were going for a touchdown. And in the end, they fooled them so badly that no one noticed the kicker in the end zone, and he was wide open to get a shovel pass from the placeholder to get the touchdown. Now that is smart. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the plays that people in the NFL have made that were really smart, even if they didn't seem it at the time? Which of these plays do you personally feel are the plays that showcase a high IQ? Do you think that a certain play stands above the rest? Do you think that there are other high IQ plays that should have been on our list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time on the channel.